Why does one plant grow faster than another even when both receive the same sunlight and water? Or why do some people get sick from the same food while others remain perfectly fine? Questions like these may seem simple, but they are the starting point of every scientific discovery. When scientists face such mysteries, they don't guess, they investigate. The organized process they use to find reliable answers is called the scientific method, and it is the foundation of biology. Through this method, curiosity turns into evidence and questions turn into knowledge. The following are the steps of the scientific method. Every scientific journey starts with noticing something unusual. When a scientist observes a change in nature, curiosity is triggered. This curiosity is then turned into a clear question that can be investigated. This step is called recognition of a problem, the moment when an observation becomes the starting point of scientific inquiry. For example, a biologist might notice that plants in a particular area are growing taller than usual. Instead of ignoring this, the biologist asks, what factors are responsible for this increased growth? That single question becomes the problem to be studied, and it marks the first step of the scientific method. After recognizing a problem, scientists move to the step of observation. In this stage, they carefully collect information about the problem using their 5 senses, tools, and previous scientific studies. Observation helps scientists understand what is really happening before making any explanations. Observations can be of 2 types: qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative observations describe qualities that cannot be measured with numbers, such as the color of a flower or the texture of a leaf. Quantitative observations involve measurements and numerical data, such as counting the number of birds in a tree or measuring the height of a plant. Because quantitative observations are measurable, consistent, and recordable in numbers, they are considered more accurate and reliable for scientific investigations. Based on the observations, scientists then develop a possible answer to the problem. This proposed explanation is called a hypothesis. It is a tentative answer, meaning it may or may not be correct, but it is always based on evidence, not guesswork. To build a strong hypothesis, scientists also study books, research papers, and previous experiments to understand what is already known. A scientist may form more than one hypothesis for the same problem. However, every good hypothesis has some important features. It must clearly propose an answer, match the observations, and most importantly, it must be testable through experiments. A scientific hypothesis must also be open to being proven wrong, because science advances by testing ideas, not by protecting them. Once a hypothesis is formed, scientists predict what results should appear if the hypothesis is correct. These logical predictions are called deductions. Deduction helps scientists plan experiments by clearly stating what they expect to observe. Deductions are usually written as if and then statements. For example, if the plants are growing taller because the soil contains more nutrients, then adding the same nutrients to other soil should also increase plant growth. Similarly, if better sunlight is responsible for faster growth, then plants given equal sunlight should grow at the same rate. These deductions guide scientists toward the next step: experimentation. Experimentation is the most important step of the scientific method. In this step, scientists test their hypotheses to find out which one is correct. A well-designed experiment helps accept the correct hypothesis and reject the incorrect ones. Scientists often repeat experiments and form new deductions to confirm their results. To perform a fair test, scientists set up 2 groups, the experimental group and the control group. The experimental group is the one in which the factor being tested is changed. The control group is the group kept at a normal level for comparison. This comparison helps scientists clearly see the effect of the tested factor. For example, to test whether carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis, 2 similar plants are used. One plant is not given carbon dioxide while the other is given carbon dioxide. If photosynthesis occurs only in the control group, it proves that carbon dioxide is necessary for the process. After performing the experiment, scientists carefully record the results. This step is called data collection. Data may be collected in the form of measurements, numbers, observations, tables, or graphs. Accurate data collection is essential because scientific conclusions depend entirely on reliable data. Data can be quantitative, such as measuring plant height or counting leaves, or qualitative, such as noting changes in color or appearance. Scientists record all data honestly without altering or ignoring results, even if they do not support the hypothesis. After collecting data, scientists carefully examine and interpret it. This step is called analysis. During analysis, the collected data is compared between the experimental group and the control group. Scientists look for patterns, differences, and relationships to determine whether the results support the hypothesis. Tables, graphs, and charts are often used during analysis to make the results easier to understand and more reliable. Based on the analysis, scientists then draw a conclusion. In this step, they decide whether the hypothesis is accepted or rejected. If the results support the hypothesis, it is accepted. If not, it is rejected or modified. A conclusion is always based on evidence, not personal opinion. Sometimes conclusions also lead to new questions, starting the scientific method all over again because science never truly ends. After reaching a conclusion, scientists share their findings with other scientists. This step is called communication with the scientific community. Results are communicated through research papers, journals, conferences, seminars, and presentations. Sharing results allows other scientists to review the work, repeat the experiment, and verify the findings. This process helps remove errors, improve accuracy, and expand scientific knowledge. Without communication, scientific discoveries would remain personal opinions rather than accepted scientific facts. When the same hypothesis is tested repeatedly by many scientists and consistently supported by strong evidence, it may develop into a scientific theory. A theory is not a guess. It is a well-tested explanation of natural phenomena based on observations, experiments, and verified data. Scientific theories explain how and why things happen in nature. They can be modified or improved if new evidence is discovered, but they are never accepted without strong experimental support. Examples include the theory of evolution and the cell theory. A theory represents one of the highest levels of scientific understanding. When scientific explanations become well established, science also identifies consistent patterns in nature that can be described in the form of laws. A scientific law describes what happens in nature under specific conditions. It does not explain why it happens. Scientific laws are based on repeated observations and experiments and are often written as statements or mathematical relationships. They are reliable but limited, applying only where the same conditions exist. For example, Mendel's laws of inheritance describe how traits are passed from parents to offspring. From a simple question to a tested law, science follows a disciplined path. Each step of the scientific method builds on the one before it, ensuring that knowledge is based on evidence, not assumptions. This systematic approach has allowed biology to grow from simple observations into a powerful science that explains life itself. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more simple and clear explanations of biology. Keep learning, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.